very special guest today. Massive honour to have one of the true champions in recent years, four division world champion, Mikey Garcia. Welcome to a ringside seat with Tazzy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's a pleasure being here, and thanks for all the support.
No, always, man. Yeah, it was awesome to first meet you at the Canelo Triple G3 fight, the team. I think I met you at the weigh-in, which was always wanted to meet you, man. Like I met your brother Robert, and massive fan of your career. Followed you from day one, and then we hooked up at the WC convention in Hamburg recently, which was cool.
That was really cool. That was my first time making it to a convention, to a WBC convention, and it was way more than I imagined. It was great. It was a great time. Everybody just to be there with so many legends, it's amazing, and now I get to rub elbows and share the room with them. So that was really cool.
Oh, well, you deserve to be there, mate, because you're one of the legends. But yeah, no, it was my first time, and it was wicked to be able to, just as they mix it with people that you look up to as kids. Like it's just actually just unbelievable, man, unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. I loved it.
And I got a shout out. I interviewed Nonito Donaire yesterday, so he told me to say what up because I said I've got Mikey on tomorrow.
Big friend of ours for many years, Donito. So hey, thank you. Big shout out to you.
Yeah, I know. Yes, I had him on yesterday. So and another good friend of ours, Billy Dibb. I watched him fight in Hamburg, and he got comeback of the year at the ring awards, which was amazing.
Congratulations to him because we've been friends for many years. He did a couple of training camps here at my house with my brother Robert, and we were staying together in the same house, doing the same training camp, running together, training together. So we got a nice friendship, and I was very happy to see him. After all his troubles and his health and everything, coming back and fighting is unbelievable. Yeah, that's a true champion there. That's what the champions are made of, and that's what he showed out there in Hamburg when he came back.
Yeah, and I was there. I walked to the ring with him, and it was pretty much just close to the corner there, and he already had instructions, and I was so happy for him. And I thought he'd get the award. I mean, you can't get much bigger comeback than beating cancer and then fighting again. So what an inspiration! But look, let's talk about your amazing career. Let's talk about starting off in the amateurs. What age was your first fight?
My first amateur fight was at 14. I had just turned 14. I had just started training for a few months, maybe 3-4 months prior. And my dad and my brother decided, we were ready to take on our first amateur fight. I was a little nervous. I'm not going to lie. I was a little bit nervous. I never imagined myself being a fighter. I saw my brother and I seen the other fighters at the gym with my dad, like Fernando Vargas and everybody else. But I personally never thought I would be joining and becoming a fighter. So when we made, our first amateur fight, as I'm in the back getting hands wrapped up and everything, I'm kind of like, am I really doing this? Is it really gonna happen? Am I really gonna box now? Am I gonna be a fighter? Am I gonna be a boxer? It was like unreal. I didn't feel that it was destiny or that it was meant to be. I was just nervous. But we went through the fight. We fought a kid. I still remember it was at the, I think it was here at the Hawaiian Gardens here, a city nearby LA, Hawaiian Gardens. It was a simple amateur fight, 3 rounds. I won on decision, on points. I won, and once I got after the first round or so, I kind of got comfortable, and that was the beginning. After that, I was comfortable to do it more and more, and it was the beginning of a full career.
Oh, amazing! I mean, what you ended up doing. How much of inspiration is your dad? Your dad's a legend of the game, and what do they call him again? What's his sort of nickname?
Well, my dad is just Big G.
Big G, that's right, Big G. Yeah, I spoke to Fernando. Fernando loves your dad. Loves your dad.
Fernando gave him the name of Big G.
Big G.
Because being the head of the Garcia family, Fernando's the one that dubbed him and gave him the name Big G, and we all call him Big G. If I go on my phone, it's Big G on my phone.
Wow, not Dad, just Big G. Yeah.
And So, I mean, I grew up watching boxing, obviously, because my dad was a big fan growing up. He did a little bit of amateur training, never really competed, but just a few amateur experiences out in Mexico back in the day. And when he moved out here to the States, he got my older brother Danny in boxing, then
Yeah.
my brother Robert. So I grew up following, watching them, going to the gym, watching the fights on the weekends. I remember my dad would have the grill going, the barbecue going, and then the fights would be, in the evening, and everybody sitting around watching it on a TV. That was a common normal thing for us. Boxing gloves laying around the house, and us nephews and cousins putting on the boxing gloves and just sparring, there for fun. That's what we grew up with. But I never thought I would be a fighter myself.
Wow.
And once I started boxing, I really thought, okay, Robert became a champion. My brother Danny was
Yeah.
a professional boxer. My dad was a world class trainer with Fernando and Robert. Okay, I think I can add a little more to the history, to the legacy, and that's when I decided to give it a full on try and do my best in the amateurs, obviously at first, and I saw that there's potential. There's a possible future here. We saw an opportunity, and I said, I'm going all in on this because you only have a small window, for boxing, so
Very
gotta give it
true.
all.
Very small. How many amateur fights did you finish up having?
I did 58, if I'm
Yeah.
sure, 58,
Yeah.
60 amateur fights.
Yeah.
Again, it was at 14 and I turned pro at 18, so 4 years as an
Wow.
amateur. I did 58 or 60 amateur fights. I had, I think, 10 losses in that span. 10
Did you fight?
losses.
You fight Bud Crawford in the amateur, didn't you?
Yes.
Yep.
I fought Crawford was the 2006 U.S. Championships
Yep.
in Colorado Springs. He beat me. He outpointed me. First round, he was already up. I don't know, like 6-0 or something, 6-1 or something. It was crazy. So then, second round, he's up even more, like 12-4 or something. And we're like, well, what else am I gonna try? I mean, I gotta try to knock his head out.
Try and knock
And
him out.
I chasing him around. He kept boxing on the outside, and he beat me by points. And that was that. After that, I turned pro.
Was he
I turned
Was he switching back then still?
pro.
Yeah.
He fought most of the fight as a southpaw, which complicated things that much more for me. Because of the height, we were fighting at that time. We were fighting at 132 pounds,
Okay.
and he was obviously a lot taller. All the
Yeah.
fighters at 132 are a lot taller than me.
Yeah.
But that's just that's boxing. You got to face the best in the amateurs like that in order to win, and he outpointed me.
Did you sign with a promoter at the start of your career? Was the Top Rank from the very start or later
Yes.
on?
So after that fight, after the Crawford fight in 06 and in the U.S. Championships, I had one more fight here in LA. It was under Golden Gloves, a tournament,
Yeah.
and we had a close fight. I lost on points, like a 3-2 split decision, something like that. Uh, I forget the guy's name. His brothers ended up going to the Olympics, like the
Oh.
the, the class after
What
from
year? What year is this? Was it 2008 Beijing?
2000, the 2008 class was our class. I didn't
Yep.
make it. The
Oh,
2012,
he went to 2012, this guy from America, yeah?
brothers,
Okay.
the twin brothers. I forget.
Okay.
Oh man,
Twins.
it's
Yeah,
yeah.
that's okay.
He ended
Yeah,
up
yeah.
going, but the brother I boxed, he beat me on points, and I turned pro. I signed a contract with Top Rank to turn pro. I signed in, I think it was like maybe April or May of 2006 that I signed with Top Rank. We had a contract, and for some reason, my first professional fight wasn't even with them. My first professional fight was at a local show here in the city of Montebello at the Quiet Canyon in Montebello. They had a small show. I'm not sure if it was Ed Holmes who was promoting the show.
Yep.
Star Boxing. I think it was him. Not sure. I have to go back and check the record, but it was a local show. They called me literally that Friday morning if I wanted to fight that evening. And
What? Wow.
well, I mean, yeah, we'll do it. So they're like, just pull up. We'll weigh you in right now. And if you guys are equal weight, you guys can get on the inside the ring on the fight
Wow.
night. So we walked in, and we were fortunately, same weight. I was like 128,
Yeah.
129.
Yeah.
Same thing with my opponent, maybe 130, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
And we later in the evening we were fighting. So I still
Wow.
got to weigh in the day of the fight.
That's
So
crazy. Did you win by stoppage or?
I won by 4 round decision.
Oh,
It was
okay.
a 4 round decision. Funny story. After the weigh-in, I stayed at the Quiet Canyon just to relax while my dad went over to go buy some ice and some Gatorades and a
Yeah.
few things, some water bottles. When my dad walked out of the local store, he didn't see his car anymore. They stole his truck. He had a brand
Oh.
a new Escalade, and
Oh.
find it. Somebody had stole it, so then I had to call police reports and do this.
Your debut. Oh my God.
They stole all my gear. They stole
Oh.
my shoes, my trunks, my cup, my rope. Everything was in that car. So now I gotta go to the Big Five, go buy some shoes, buy a mouth guard. I called my brother, who happened to be in the Coachella Valley in Indio at an amateur show for the kids that were in the amateurs, and we told him what happened. So he drove back to Montebello with a spare cup, like an amateur-sized kid's cup, and I just threw on some shorts from the amateur shows, and that's how I boxed. That's how we boxed.
Wow. That's definitely a story.
Had to go boil some
Yeah.
water to
Yeah.
get
The mouth guard, the old
ice
school.
it.
Yeah.
Ice it old school, 99 cents mouth guard. But whatever. It's a story now. I won 4 round decision. I was
That's the main.
happy.
It's the main
All right.
thing. One and oh. 1-0. It's always good when you wake up that morning and you're like, I'm 1-0. I remember doing it. I'm like, that's a good
Yeah,
feeling, you know?
exactly. It was good. It was feeling good.
That's great. So where did we go from there? Did we sort of fight quite regularly? Was you on shows quite regularly, building your record up?
After that fight was, I think, like in July of '06, and I fought pretty often. My next fights, they were under Top Rank.
Yeah.
My second fight was actually at the Thomas and Mack Center. It was on the Muskaev versus Rockman
Yeah,
heavyweight.
okay. Heavyweight. Yeah. Yeah. Remember that.
I was on that show. I was actually right after them. I was on standby the whole night.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they have a standby fight. Yeah.
And because there was no gap to put me in there, I had to fight at the end of the show. But I won in the first round, body shot, dropped my opponent.
Beautiful.
First round was felt good, and we kept going. We were pretty active, pretty busy. I fought a few local shows here. I fought two in Oxnard. Well, one in Oxnard, one in Calabasas here locally to home. And then after that, then we started moving on to other venues like Nevada, Arizona, Texas, and for some reason, I started fighting a lot in Texas. I started
Wow.
fighting often in Texas. Top Rank had a lot of shows in Texas during that time. They had a deal with a Spanish broadcasting network, so it worked to bring Mexican fan base, and I was fighting on their shows a lot, so it made sense. And a lot of the shows happened to be in Texas, so I was able to fight in Texas pretty often, created a good fan base,
Yeah.
and just developed a good undefeated record, and moved on the rankings little by little. But I stayed pretty busy. I was constantly in the gym, just training, year round. You never knew when the next call would come. Hey, 2 weeks, you're ready. Let's go. All right, we're ready. Let's go. So it was like that. I liked it. I see that now a lot of the younger kids take bigger breaks in between fights, whereas I was very active. I accumulated a lot of fights. I had my first world title fight. I think I already was like 29-0 or 30-0. Right now, a lot of these kids are getting title fights at 15, 16, 18.
Even earlier. Yeah.
They're not fighting as often, where we were constantly fighting. We were fighting very, very, very often.
I tell all my boxers I coach this, and I want you to reaffirm it for me. How important is it to be active? I think inactivity kills fighters. How important is it to be active? It's so important.
I think it's very important to be active, especially in the early part of your career. You want to have a disciplined fighter, and part of that discipline is to be in the gym, be on weight, be training, be ready for a fight. Especially when you're developing a fighter, bringing him up. Once you start getting to the big world title fights, I can see why you want to take a little break, especially if you had a very grueling fight, tough fight, 12 rounds. Maybe you got cut, maybe you got a little injury. Then you do need a few months to recover and let your body heal. But still doesn't allow for one fight a year.
Well, that's what Al Heyman's fighters these days. They're not fighting once a year. Like Gary Russell, I don't even know, he fights once every 3 years. I mean, some of these guys, and I don't really believe in like when the Mayweather brought in like the 2 big fights a year. I mean, all those days Chavez and James Toney, they were fighting like still 8 times. Back in the day, like Chavez would have non-title fights.
Yeah.
Just to stay active. And I mean, that's gone now. I mean, if you have a non-title fight now, you probably everyone would probably go off their heads. But yeah, I mean, you know what I mean? But like that's just starting to be, every fight doesn't got to be a super fight. If it feels like today, it has to be like a Super Bowl. But boxing back in the day, in the 80s, 90s, I mean, you're fighting regularly, like the Whitakers, the Magic Taylors, Chavez, they're all fighting regular. Your brother would have been too.
Like I said, a lot of the younger guys right now, they're fighting world title fights at 14, 15, 16 fights, and they become champions. And then they reach, 25, 26, 28 fights, and that's it. Their career's over.
It's crazy.
But they don't fight as often. So, like, I mean, I retired 3 years ago, and I had 42 professional fights.
I know.
You don't see many fighters over 40 fights, maybe not even over 35 fights. Most of these guys are under 30 fights. Whereas the older generations, even before me, you can see many, many fighters reaching 35, 38, 40, 45 fights or above, because we fought a lot more often. Like I said, sometimes you do need a little break. If your fight was a tough fight where you might have gotten knocked down, you might have got injured.
Yeah.
Okay, you take 2, 3, 4 months break, and then take back in it. So maybe you still do 2 fights a year.
Yeah.
But if you can do 3 fights a year, that's gonna keep your body active, your sharpness. You're gonna be quicker versus taking long breaks. And then if you take those breaks, and during that break, you're not disciplined, and you're going out, you're drinking, you're partying, you're having a fun time, that's gonna hurt you. That's gonna come back to hurt you. Whereas if you do take a break, 2 months off, 3 months off, because you are healing your body, and
that's
once you
understandable.
Yeah. That's gonna be the difference between just a world champion and an elite world champion. The elite are gonna be disciplined, no drinking, no partying. They're on diet, they're training, they're healthy. That's what makes the top.
Well, that's what I respect, obviously, about Floyd. He always done, no matter how much money he made, he trained like he was broke.
Yep.
I've got to give him that. I mean, he always was ready. So let's talk about your first world title fight, Orlando Salido.
Yes.
Tough Mexican.
Clearly remember that one. I was super excited. I think I was 25 years old.
Featherweight?
Featherweight.
Yep.
I had been a top contender, #1 ranked contender for a little over 2 years.
Wow.
And for one reason or another, my title fight wasn't available. When that finally got secured, I'm all excited. And I trained my ass off. I was training hard, super dedicated. I was so motivated for that, because that's what we've been training for the past 7 years of my career, to get to that point, to show the world that it's my time. And what better way than to defeat the guy that was defeating everybody else, that had the most experience. He was at top of his game. He had just came back from 2 major victories over Juan Manuel López.
Yeah, Juan. Yeah, he upset him.
So, I mean, it just made sense. Let's go after the #1 guy and show the world. And
was he the guy? Sorry, was he the guy that gave Juan his first loss?
He gave Juan his first loss.
He was huge. He was on a roll, Juan. Top Rank loved him. He was a Puerto Rican man. They thought he was going to be the next Cotto Trinidad. And so he gave him, so I remember he gave him back-to-back losses and sort of derailed the train, yeah?
When Juanma was coming up, Salido defeated him. Then they go back-to-back rematch, and Salido beats him again.
Yeah, but he was big though at the time, Juanma.
Then it was my turn to fight Salido.
Yeah.
And not a lot of people gave me a chance. Not necessarily a chance. I can't say that. It was more like it was going to be the biggest test of my career, the biggest fight. I had not fought anybody of that level or caliber yet. I'd fought decent opponents and former world champions, but no one of that stature of Salido, who was on a roll.
Yeah.
And if I'm correct, I think I was the underdog by a little bit, like maybe 3-1 or something like that, coming into that fight. And I was just so motivated. I was so happy. I'm like, there's no way this guy's beating me. I'm a better boxer overall. I can box. I can punch. I can counter punch. I can use my legs. I have the best footwork. So when the fight finally gets, started, I'm boxing very patiently. And right away, I can tell that he's slower than me. That tad slower than me allows me to counter him. And I carry a good punch. I always carried a good punch, especially in the featherweight, featherweight, lightweight divisions. As soon as I touched him, he went down. With the solid good shot, he goes down. He gets up because he's a warrior. We're fighting. I drop him again. And then it's like, okay, now I know I can hurt him. It's just a matter of time. So then second round comes in, and I think I dropped him maybe another time in the second round and once more like in the fourth. Total, I dropped him like 4 times in the first.
4 times, yeah.
And I know at that point I got this fight. I know I can hurt the guy. I know I can drop him. Let's just be patient. Let's not get overly aggressive because he's still dangerous. He's a dangerous fighter, especially on the inside. So we were patient, kept going a couple more rounds. I think it was like the 8th round that he came on really, really strong because he was really behind. When he came on strong, I just decided, let's just defend. Let's survive this. I'm not gonna get crazy and fall into his game plan. Let's be patient. Let's be defensive. Let's counter slowly. Towards the end of the round, I picked him a couple shots again, and that's when he threw an overhand right that kind of pulled my head into his head.
Yeah.
Broke my nose.
Nice.
Right before that happened, during the break, my brother had warned me. He's like, be very careful. He's getting dirty with elbows. He's getting dirty with the headbutts. Be very careful with low blows. He's desperate now. He's going to come dirty. Be very careful. And sure enough, that next round, the 8th round, he starts, coming in a little dirty. And that's when he comes in with the head, breaks my nose. The doctor stops the fight. They take me to the doctor. The doctor says, you can't continue because broken nose, headbutt, stop the fight. We go to the scorecards. And so the scorecards, obviously, I was ahead on points.
Oh, right, yeah.
I was winning all night. If anything, he might have won that 7th round or the 8th round, just the one round. So I clearly won the fight. He was busted up. I beat him, and I became world champion. But it wasn't a huge exciting moment for me. It was a little bit of a bad taste because of the way it ended.
Yeah.
Had the fight not hit me with the head, it was a matter of a round or two, and I would have stopped him.
Yeah.
Because he was ready to go. I had already busted him up. He was giving his last hurrah.
Yeah.
He started one round or two, I would have stopped him, and it would have felt that much better.
Yeah.
The way things ended with the headbutt and the scorecard, it kind of it wasn't as exciting. But that's what it is. All right, I'm world champion, and that's why I came here. I showed everybody I was a better fighter by down, all night.
Yeah, that's right.
So I made up for that. I dropped him 4 times, which Juanma couldn't do, Marquez didn't do, Gamboa didn't do, and these were the top dogs, and I came in and I played with them, That was my interpretation.
So you won the WBO championship in the Ring Magazine title as well.
Yes, that very happy to win the Ring Magazine.
Yeah, of course.
That's the highest as a fighter. You may be world champion once or twice, but sometimes you're not able to win a championship. And I was fortunate to be in a position to earn the Ring Magazine Championship.
Well, yeah. Well, when you I mean, you become lineal champion, then you know what I mean. So yeah.
That was great. That's my one of my most favorite accomplishments. You
Oh,
know,
100%.
the lineal and Ring Magazine champion, featherweight champion.
Definitely. And after that, then you fight another great fighter who we just spoke about, Juan López, who was, as I said, like, I remember he was Top Rank's darling boy. He was, Menace Square Garden, Puerto Rico Parade Days. He was a big fan base. And so you've just beat Salido now, taking on another great fighter in Juanma.
Yeah, when we did the fight with Juanma, that was obviously a big fight for me because now that's a big name. Now we're fighting a big superstar name. Like you said, Top Rank was huge behind him. HBO was behind him. He took the 2 losses with Salido, but then he came back, beat Marquez and a few who else, and so he's back there. He had a record, I think, of like maybe 32, 33-2, something like that, with like 30 knockouts. So dangerous fighter. I was excited. We were doing training camp for the fight. The week before the fight, I got sick. I got like a little cold, a little fever a week before the fight. So I took a couple of days off, just to let my immune system, re-strengthen. When we get back out to Texas, to Dallas for the fight, now it's time to cut some weight. That little bit got me sick again during the weight cut, and there was nothing else to do. I was super drained. I tried to cut weight. I just couldn't. My body just gave up. I passed out several times, like 2 times I passed out. I totally fainted. My dad was with me, and Daryl Hudson, who was the strength trainer, and there was talks of maybe possibly canceling the fight because I was such in bad shape. We go to the weigh-in. I'm a little over. I'm 1.5 pounds over. There's nothing to do. We have to renegotiate. I pay a fine.
Yeah.
As I'm leaving the weigh-in, they still have to carry me. I'm throwing up. It's just really bad. So we called a doctor, and the doctor wanted me to cancel the fight. He says, "Dude, you can't fight. You're sick. Your body's just too your immune system's too low." And I said, "Nah, I'm fighting tomorrow night. I gotta fight. I want to get paid. I want to fucking get out there and fight and get paid." And he's like, "Well, that's your decision, but I suggest you go come check into the hospital. You're that sick." I said, "Okay, let me take a couple hours. Let me rest. Let me see how I feel tomorrow morning." So the next morning, I woke up. I feel a little bit better. My hearing and my vision were a little blurry, and it was a little scary, actually. Now thinking about it, I'm like, that's dangerous. You're dealing with health, and you're about to get hit, So thinking about it, I mean, maybe not the best decision, but at the moment, you're a fighter. I want to fight.
That's right.
You're a fighter. So we went through it in the locker room. I can tell my dad is very nervous about it because we're fighting, again, a guy who's very dangerous, 30 knockouts out of 33 victories, dangerous fighter. And I'm not in my best, I'm not 100%. I'm not in the best shape. You can always get hurt a lot easier, So I went in the ring. I started boxing with my jab. I remember telling myself after that first round, I was in pretty good control with my jab. After that, I'm like, if I can do that one round, that's how I'm boxing the entire night. Just play it safe with a jab, maybe a right hand cross once in a while, and just play it safe. I'm the taller fighter. I have the longer reach. As long as I play like this, I minimize the risk and I win a decision. I'm okay with that. Fortunately, in the second round, I land a good right hand that drops him. That gave me the confidence that I can hurt him. But I still didn't go on the attack. He got up. He's fighting. I didn't jump on it because he's dangerous. So we kept going. We're fighting. Fourth round, I hurt him and I dropped him. But this time I dropped him pretty bad. He gets up and he's still stumbling. The referee stops the fight and I win. Nobody would have known. Nobody would have known that I was sick that day before until a week or two later. They showed the special that HBO was filming, and that's when it came out that 24 hours before the fight, I was in the worst shape ever.
Wow.
But it wasn't apparent at the fight because it was only 4 rounds. It was okay, 4 rounds. I won 2 rounds. I dropped them in the fourth round. Cool. No one would have ever believed that I was sick. But the 2-day special came out 2 weeks later, and everybody realized, oh wow, that's the same guy that fought. Like that's crazy. But a lot of fighters go through stuff like that.
That's right.
These are the stories that a lot of times are not told. And us as fighters, we don't want to let our opponents or the media know that we're
of course not. That's right. Yeah.
We're injured or that we're unhealthy or something happened. We always tell everybody, oh, we're 100%. I'm ready. I'm in the best shape.
Best camp ever. Yeah.
But it's probably maybe a handful of times that you're actually 100%. Maybe 4 times that you're
very seldom. Yeah.
Very seldom are you 100%. Most of the times you're not gonna be 100%.
No.
You might get 90, 95%.
Yeah.
There, but there might be even the smallest thing, clipping your nail, your fingernail a little too short could bother you. A small little blister in your toe and your shoe, in your foot. A small little blister could be, just enough to not be 100%. And then you sustain other injuries sometimes. A bad elbow, a rib. There's other injuries that you sustain that you'll never share. I'll share now because I'm retired. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But at the time, no fighter will openly tell you what's wrong with him or what happened during training camp. They're always going to say they're 100% because we're fighters and we want to fight. We want to make sure everybody believes that we're in the best shape so that our opponent also feels that, it's going to be a dangerous fight. We're in for a fight because this guy's 100%. But it's very, very few times that you're actually 100%.
No, very true. You're always carrying injury. You seem to get sick more. I think when you're getting down in weight, your immune system, you're more prone to get viruses. I mean, I was a bad asthmatic, and a few times I hid it from my trainer and my parents that I was actually sick going into the fight because I wanted to fight. You know what I mean? Like you said, but yeah, you're always got something wrong with you. Very, very seldom. So you got the junior lightweight and you fight Roman Martínez for the WBO junior lightweight title.
Yes, that was right after the Juan López. We fought November of 13, and I was moving up to 130 because, like I said, I had missed weight with López. So the next decision was to move up to 130, and felt great. Had a great training camp. I felt sharp, strong. Fortunately for that fight, I didn't have any major injuries. I did not get sick. I was excited for it because it was an opportunity to regain my title. I technically had lost my featherweight title on the scale when I fought López. So I was pretty sad that I was no longer champion, and this was my opportunity to regain a championship fight, championship title. So I was excited. I was very happy, and we knew we were in it for a fight. He had been through some good fights, some tough opponents to get to where he was. So we knew he was game. We knew he was going to be a tough opponent. He dropped me in the second round of our fight. Short, quick little right hand. As I'm trying to come in to land my right hand, he lands his right hand first, puts me on my ass. Fortunately, I was not hurt. I was not dazed or anything.
Yeah.
So I quickly turned around and I winked at Robert, my brother, and my dad, like at the corner, just to let them know that I'm okay.
Yeah.
For a count, the referee's looking at me, 4, 5, 6. I get up. I'm ready to go. I'm not hurt. Let's fight. He comes on me on the attack. I'm surviving. I'm moving around. Then the next round, I'm like, okay, now I got to get back in it. I got to start catching up because, the point system, second round, 10-8. That's a big difference early on.
Yeah.
So let's pick it up. So I started picking up the pace. Seventh round, I believe it was the seventh round. I started dominating a little more and more, and then by the seventh round, I felt that he was starting to slow down a bit. He started feeling my power, and I was able to start. I felt confident. If you see the fight, right before I stopped him, I started jumping on my toes a little more, and I'm
Yeah.
kind of in and out. I'm on my toes and landing faster combinations because I saw it. I saw it in his eyes. I saw his body language. I could read his body language, and I knew it was a matter of time. And then here he goes, and I landed a good body shot. He hunched over, bent over a little bit to guard his head, but I got him with the body shot to the liver, the left hook to the liver shot, and he goes down. And when I landed that, I knew it was over because it was just so perfect. So perfect.
How good is it when you land that perfect liver shot when you know you're not getting? No, it's the best.
Just no, I even heard him like grunt, like
Yeah.
Goes down. I walked away. I'm like, all right, that's it. He ain't getting up. I'm looking. They wave it off. I'm like, there we go. We're champions again. That felt better. That felt just happier, like a better victory than when I first.
You got what you wanted, from the first one. It was no technical, was no this or that. You've knocked out the champion, and that's right, yeah.
So that felt better. I'm like, okay, I'm champion again. We're back. And so yeah, it was great. My popularity grew more, and it was a good fight because I got dropped. So that kind of helps the fight be like, oh, he was in a fight. When you win too easily, a lot of time the media, the critics, the fans,
that's right.
Don't give you enough credit because you won so easily. You make it look so easy. They feel that the opponent wasn't big enough, or
that's
opponent.
Right. Instead of giving you your props, saying, "Oh, how good you are," they usually, demoralize the opponent, saying, "Oh, he wasn't up to it," or "He was there." That's right.
So that happens a lot when you win too easily.
Yeah,
that good, you don't get enough credit. But this time, because he dropped me, and I come back and I dropped him and win, it makes the fight better. It gives a bigger aura, So that was good.
Especially for the Mexican fans, because they love that blood and guts warrior type. You know what I mean? Yeah.
They love the war, though, the back and forth. For sure.
So you had a couple of defenses against Burgess and Roges. Then you went up for the lightweight championships against Dejan Zlatičanin, or how to pronounce his name.
Yeah. That was in 2017.
MGM Grand.
I had a layoff in between, from 14 to 16. That was a gap there. I was, out of the ring for legal reasons. I finally came back summer of 2016, and January of 17, only my second fight back. I'm challenging for the lightweight WBC world title against Dejan, who at the time, again, maybe not a lot of people remember, or maybe not a lot of people will give him the credit, but he was on a win streak, knockout win streak. He was dangerous. Linares actually stepped away, didn't fight him, vacated his portion of the belt to not fight Dejan. Dejan was supposed to fight Linares, Jorge Linares, and Linares vacated WBC portion. Dejan picked it up, and then I'm challenging Dejan, and I felt that everything was going great. My training camp was perfect. We practiced the sequence that ended the fight. We practiced that sequence of punches and sidestep, everything so much in the gym. We had studied Dejan enough to know his tendencies and what he was gonna do. So we practiced that sequence of him coming on the inside. I pick him up with the right uppercut, hit him with the little left hook to spin around to get away from him. And when he looks at me, I'm going to land an overhand right. We practiced that so much that third round of our fight, when it happened, it appeared to be in slow motion to me.
Wow.
For me, everything was in slow motion because it was so perfect. I landed the uppercut. I sidestep to my left. I pivot to my left, push him a little bit with my left hand, kind of like to give him a little.
Yeah.
When he turns around to look for me, that overhand right is coming right in his face. That knocked him out. Wow. But that sequence was so perfect. It was in slow motion. It was crazy. That had never happened in my career, where something was so perfect that it was in slow motion. But there he goes down. They wave out the fight, and I'm world champion again after the 2-year layoff. after 3 years off, I'm back.
3 divisions.
And 3-division world champion. And that night made it more special because by earning the WBC title, I also fulfilled my dad's dream of having a WBC world champion in his home. When my dad was training Fernando and Robert, my brother, he had the IBF.
Oh, IBF.
And then Fernando also had the IBF in the same year, 19. Then a couple years later, Fernando won the WBA title.
Yeah.
But they were never able to win a WBC title.
The green belt. My
dad was always a fan, obviously, watching the Chavez and all the legends from his time with the WBC, Salvador Sanchez and everybody that wanted a WBC title at home.
Of course.
And winning that fight, now we get the title home. That made it that much more special because now I'm world champion again for a 3rd time in a 3rd division, and I bring the WBC championship that my dad had always longed for.
Yeah, it's
now
special.
I bring that.
So
that made it.
Yeah.
If you see, when I won my first world title with Salido, you don't see me smile. When I win my fight with Martínez, I'm raising my hands, but I'm not quite smiling as much, or maybe hardly anything. But when I win the title with Dejan, now I'm smiling because it makes that much more of a greater, energy and just excitement to be able to do that.
No, that's awesome. That's beautiful. So then we got defense against Adrien Broner.
We fought Broner summer of 2017. High profile, big star, big fight. We're fighting Barclays Center, New York. He only lost to Maidana. His only loss was to Maidana up to that point. He was still on top of his game. He had just been champion at 140, but then he lost it because he didn't make weight on his title defense.
Yeah.
Or something with the weight class. So he was still at the top of his game, So we wanted a big fight. Adrien Broner is the name that's available. We're fighting at 140 pounds. And let's do it. Let's go. I want to show the world that I can continue on this, and keep building and show everybody my skills that for a time I didn't even have a chance. I was off for those 2 years prior, and now I'm back. I want to continue on that track, and I completely dominated. Again, we were practicing everything in the gym. We were sparring very, very hard. I felt so confident in that fight. I was at one point, if you go back and watch it, I think it was the 6th, maybe the 7th round, 6th or 7th round. For about 30 seconds, I put my hands down and I walk him backwards with my hands down. And he's trying to land a few shots and I'm just making a miss. And I'm calling him, come on, and he can't keep moving. I'm like, come on. And I'm walking him down. I'm walking him backwards with my hands down.
Wow.
That just tells you I was at the top. I beat him mentally. I beat him physically because I was faster, quicker. He felt my power, or else he would have slugged it out. He was so quick. He was really, really quick with his reflexes. Because even though I was landing some shots, he was able to, avoid them and block, and he was, even just just a little bit. But he was on top of his game too.
Yeah, great fighter.
I was always just a little bit better, a little bit better. And we knew that he actually finishes most of his fights very strong. We knew that because when he fought Maidana, he finished the fight very strong. So we didn't want to give up those last rounds and allow him a chance. So I ended up picking up my punch output in the later rounds. I think it was like the 9th, the 10th, the 11th, and the 12th. Those last 4 rounds, I picked up the output even more to not give him a chance.
Yeah.
I wasn't landing as hard shots anymore, but I was just constantly just throwing more and more and more and more punches. As the fight went on, I picked up my output that much more to keep him, on the guard, on the defense, and just not give him a chance. And obviously, I won a unanimous decision, and that was huge. Because up until then, like I said, his only loss had been to Maidana.
Yeah.
And on top of this game, and now I showed everybody that I can do what I do best, even at a higher weight class, against a former welterweight world champion. He was a welterweight champion one fight before that, two fights before that.
Yeah.
You know? So I'm like, I'm showing everybody.
No, that was a great win, and obviously against a big name, and obviously, he had a lot of always he carried a lot of controversy, but he was a great fighter too, AB. So yeah. So Sergey Lipinets now for the IBF. You unified the WC and IBF on that one?
We fought Lipinets for his IBF 140 pound title.
Yeah.
So we fought him in Texas in, I think it was March of 18. I'm pretty sure it was March of 18. And a little unknown to the general world, but similar to Dejan, who was on a win streak, undefeated. I forget, maybe 16-0, 14-0, something like that. Undefeated, world champion for a reason, and very strong. He's one of the strongest fighters that I faced. I felt his power on 2 separate occasions during the fight. We trained very hard. We knew we were going to be in for a tough fight. We were sparring big guys because we knew he was a tough guy. I've seen him fight before. And going into the fight, everybody's kind of feeling, oh, well, Mikey's got this in the bag. Who's this other guy? We don't know this other guy. We knew he was a solid champion. So we did not take it easy. We did not take it lightly. We focused 100%. And as we're fighting at the first round, at the end of the first round, he landed a left hook towards the end of the round, like maybe like the last 12, 14, 10 seconds, somewhere in there. He landed a left hook. As the bell rang and as I walked to my corner, I felt the punch still, I still felt that little buzz, like the little ringing. Like, God damn, this guy hits hard. So now my mind changes to box. Let's box. Let's be smart. Let's be smart about it. Let's not risk too much. And let's just keep winning. And that's what I did. I started fighting, landing some good shots, but he took them. He was taking them. And he kept coming back, kept fighting hard. 7th round, we exchanged hooks. Right before we exchanged hooks, he landed right hand. And then we exchanged hooks. My hook dropped him. But he also landed his hook. He landed a hook on my face. Fortunately, he goes down. As I walk to my neutral corner, I'm feeling a little buzz myself.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow, good thing that I dropped him, because who knows, maybe the next punch by him would have dropped me. It was those 2 times, that first round and that 7th round when we exchanged those hooks, that I felt that guy's power. He hit hard. He's one of the hardest punches that I faced in my career.
Jeez.
He got up, and he's still fighting hard. So I'm like, okay, let me just keep boxing. I already won. I'm winning decision. I'm winning on points. Let's not risk it. There was a time, I think maybe the 10th round, maybe 11th round, where I felt that maybe if I step on the gas a little bit, maybe I might get the stoppage. But then I got to think, why risk it? I'm winning. My dad was telling me, you're winning the fight. Let's not take any chances. My brother's telling me the same thing. You're winning the fight. It's yours. It's in the bag. Let's not take unnecessary risks.
That's right.
And he's still dangerous because he was still fighting till the last fucking minute of the fight. He was still dangerous. And so I told myself too, you know what? Let's not risk it. How stupid would I be if I'm winning the entire fight and in the last 2 rounds I get knocked out because I'm being greedy?
It's happened. It's happened before to many great fighters. Yeah.
So I said, you know what? Let's just keep winning. And I won decision, and that made me, IBF junior welterweight champion, 4 division. So I'm 4 division world champion. I'm undefeated. I'm on top of the game now.
Yeah.
There's no time. I dominated the featherweights, the lightweights, and now even junior welterweight. I'm on top of the world. That's how I felt.
Of course. You had a right to feel like that too. I mean,
on a good run.
Yeah. And you would have been in the pound for pound list as well at that time for sure.
Well, in fact, beating Lipinets gave me the lineal championship also.
Oh wow! Yeah.
He was rated number 1. And my victory over Broner allowed me to be, I think, number 2 or 3. I forget the actual ratings.
Yeah.
But beating Lipinets awarded me a lineal championship at 140.
So you're lineal champion in 2 divisions, yeah?
Featherweight and junior welterweight.
That's huge. Yep. That's massive.
That's massive for me. Those
sure
are
is.
Those are the big things, that not just champion, but lineal.
That's right.
That's a step above, that's what I'm proud of the most.
Of course.
That's what you got to be proud of the most.
100%. Then you fought a very good fight. I'm not sure you might have to remind me. I think he might have been undefeated at the time, Robert Easter Jr., who was pretty much Adrien Broner's best friend, stable mate. Very good fighter, also a champion as well. I think he was champion of lightweight though, but he's come up and challenged you for your WBC and your IBF super lightweight titles.
No, when I fought Robert Easter, I actually came back to 135 to lightweight.
Oh, to lightweight. Okay.
We unified the title. I had the WBC, and he held the IBF at lightweight. So he was undefeated IBF lightweight champion. I was undefeated WBC lightweight champion, and we're unifying.
So unifying, that's right. Yeah,
we were the only 2 undefeated champions in the division at the time. The other 2 champions at the time, I believe it was Anthony Crolla and Lomachenko.
Yeah,
they were champions in the same division, lightweight. Crolla, I think, held the WBA, or maybe Linares held the WBA. I think it was Linares. I think Linares held the WBA, and Lomachenko held the WBO. But me and Robert Easter were the only undefeated champions, and we're unifying the titles. And so it's a big fight. It's a big deal. I'm fighting in California for the first time in like 10 years.
Wow.
And I'm fighting a big fight, unification, lightweight. I'm excited. We're both undefeated, but I'm motivated. I'm hungry. So we do the fight here at Staples Center in Los Angeles. It was a sold-out arena. I forget. I think we had 14,000, 16,000 people. I forget the number, but it was huge. And again, we're at the top of the game. So my confidence is as high as ever. I go in there and I'm dominating the fight. We're dominating the fight. I dropped him in the 3rd round, and I'm like, I feel great. He gets up. He's a warrior. He keeps fighting.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
He keeps trying. Towards the end of the fight, I think it was like the 11th round, maybe the 11th, possibly the 12th for sure. But I think it was like the 11th round when my brother and my dad are telling me, look, the fight's in the bag. Just box. You don't have to take any chances. Just box. Not that he's risky, like there's a lot of risk. It's not that he's too dangerous, but you don't need a cut. You don't want to get, an elbow.
Of course.
Play it safe. You already won. But I was I'm still gonna go after him. I wanted to close the fight.
Yeah, close the show.
The show. We're in LA, my backyard. So I'm still out there trying. And he fought very well still. We went the distance, and I won a unanimous decision. And now I'm a unified lightweight champion of the world, undefeated. That was the highlight. That was the peak of my career. That genuinely was the peak of my career, because I had been beating champion after champion after champion, undefeated champion after undefeated champion after undefeated champion. It made me feel worthy now to be one of the best world champions ever. I was I think pound for pound, maybe number 5, number 4.
Yeah, I think around that. Yeah,
somewhere out there maybe.
You're definitely high on my list at that time. I remember, definitely very high.
And the I was showing it. I was not fighting easy fights. I was not taking on just stay busy fights. I was fighting one champion after another champion after another champion, just back to back to back to back. That's what I wanted. That's what motivated me the most. The other fights that are sometimes just stay busy fights didn't motivate me. I felt like I lost a little bit of time during the break, during the 2014, 2016.
With a top-ranked dispute. Yeah.
So when I came back, I wanted to catch up.
Yeah.
And I want to stay busy fights. I wanted big fight after big fight after big fight, championship fight after championship fight after championship fight. And that's what I did. That's why I kept looking for those kind of fights. And
so tell me about this. All right, be honest with me. So you're the king of the, you still make lightweight, and you've been a champion at super lightweight. You could have probably unified or went from the spirit, but you choose to go up to waterweight and take on the big fish, Errol Spence. What was in you're thinking at the time, like, what was your brother in that saying? I mean, like, what was in the thought process of I mean, like, I can understand you want greatness, you want all the smoke, you want it all, but that would have been your fifth division. But I mean, what was in the process around that?
And that's exactly what it was. I was after greatness. I was after legacy. My dad never approved of that fight. My dad never liked the fight. He always told me that's not a fight for me, that I should be fighting at the lightweight division or super lightweight. But my decision was to move up to welterweight and
take on the man.
Take on the number one guy. We could have fought someone else. We could have picked a different opponent that maybe physically is more even. For example, Sean Porter. Not to disrespect him, he was the WBC World Champion welterweight, but physically wise, he's shorter in height, shorter in reach, so physically makes for maybe a more even matchup.
Yeah.
But everybody was afraid of Spence. Most other welterweights were not willing to face him. I said, I'll step in there. I'll do it. And I physically was smaller in weight, smaller in height, everything. But that didn't discourage me. I felt that I would still be able to achieve greatness, and my skills would help me and carry me through the deficit of the height and the reach and the southpaw. I still felt that my skill set was that much better. Unfortunately, wasn't the case. We had a very good training camp. We trained hard. We were bulking up for the fight with adding some muscle and still keeping.
You looked a lot bigger, yeah.
Still trying to keep the sharpness. And it's no excuse, but just like we said, like I was telling you earlier, it's hardly any time that you go 100% for the fight. It just so happens that week of the fight, I get sick. Shit, fucked it up. We land in Texas on Monday. That Monday night, I'm at the hospital there in Dallas. I was there in the hospital at midnight.
Wow.
And then I go back on Tuesday morning, go back to the clinic, and it doesn't go well. I didn't tell my dad. I told Robert the day of the weigh-in. I told Robert because he saw me kind of tired. You're not supposed to be tired. Like, you're moving up in weight. Like, why do you look beat up? It's not like you're cutting weight. Like, why are you beat up? And I was weighing in like 143, 144.
Oh, really? Wow.
So he asked me, like, why is it that you look so beat up? You're not having trouble cutting weight. Like, you didn't cut weight. So why do you look all beat up? And my nephew Pita told him that I've been sick this week, that we were in the hospital, that, I still got the paperwork. Just people sometimes don't believe. I still got the paperwork.
Yeah.
People might think that there's just excuses. Well, it happened. They're not excuses. It's facts. It happened.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Sick. And that stumped my performance. I can never guarantee that I would have won the fight. I'll never say, I would have won. Had I not been sick, I would have won. I never said that. But I will say that being sick kept me from performing to my full potential.
Of course.
4 rounds, my gas tank was at empty. I felt slow. I felt sluggish. I felt like my feet were so tired, like I was on quicksand. I didn't feel the power. I felt weak. I was on survival mode the entire night after that. After those first 4 rounds, after the 4th round, I was basically just on survival mode, just defending, just guarding, blocking, and going through the motions. I think he picked up the pace like in the 9th round. He really picked up. And I was just blocking, defending. After the 9th round, my brother tells me, hey, you got to show me something or I'm going to stop the fight. My dad wanted to stop the fight every moment he had. Like, stop the fight. He's going to get hurt. But I told my brother, no, he's not hurting me. I'm not hurt. he is winning, but he's not beating me up to where I'm like, oh fuck, look at me, I'm fucked
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
So my brother tells me, well, you got to show me a little more, or else I am gonna stop the fight. So in the 10th round, I might have thrown a couple of jabs or a little something just to show him that I was still aware.
Yeah.
And then Errol, I think, also decided to kind of step off the gas a bit and just go the motions and let the fight go the distance. Because I think at the end, the 12th round, he was just also kind of just like slowly just kind of pitter pat tapping, just, and we won the distance. He won. He beat me. I was not hurt. My face was fine. I did not have to go to the hospital. I did not have to do it. I was fine. I'm like, you know what? I made it to this level to fight for a welterweight championship at the biggest stage, the biggest fight for the year.
Oh,
at AT&T Cowboy Stadium with 44,000 people.
Unbelievable.
For this little Mexican kid from Oxnard, not too bad.
He done okay. He done okay.
I wasn't afraid to lose my undefeated record or to lose that. I'm in it for the big fight, big, I'm going to show everybody that we made it to this level,
Yeah, no, it's a credit to you, mate. I mean, yeah, not many. Like I said, people might have played it safe. They might have just, made a few defenses down the lower weights where you've gone up and went for the top dog, and mate, you went the distance, and said, especially given that you were sick. I mean, it definitely, it's no, losing to Spence is no disgrace. I mean, he's a great champion, and yeah.
Yeah, I was happy with it. The next day we flew back. I flew with a friend of mine in his private plane. He flew back with me to California, and he's talking to me, picking my brain, asking, just to kind of see where I'm at. They hear of other fighters falling into like a state of depression or sadness and feeling, that they let people down, that they let themselves down. So he's asking me, just to kind of see where I'm at. And he saw that I was like totally fine. I was totally normal. Like it was never something that I was down and sad.
Yeah.
And he tells me, like, dude, like you don't look sad. You don't feel, you don't sound sad. You don't look sad. You're all energetic. You're enthusiastic, and you're talking about plans to do this and do that. And I'm gonna do here. I'm like, that's how it is, bro. This is okay. Who cares? One loss, big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not injured. I didn't go to a hospital. He didn't knock me out. Why would I be sad? I'm happy. I'm healthy. I continue this. I'm gonna come back. Watch, I'm gonna come back, and let me get a couple of wins, and I'm gonna come back. And he's like, wow, that's terrific. So again, it never bothered me. Some people may think, oh, the loss, this and that. For me, it was like, whatever. Hey, it's part of the game. It's part of the game. Let's go.
Right, back in the day, mate, the legends, the Henry Armstrongs, the Ray Robertsons, the Jake LaMotta's, they all had losses, man. I mean, this day and age is so much on the O, which I blame Mayweather for that, but it's not his fault. But I mean, look, all the greats, Harry Greb, they've all got losses, mate. But I mean, you're talking about the legends, it's too much made of the O these days in boxing. So, when Crawford fought Spence, was you surprised in the ease of Crawford handle him, or who did you have going into that fight what was your prediction of that fight?
Every time people had asked me, how do I see that fight? I always pick Crawford to win.
Yeah, me too.
There's also a reason why I didn't go after Crawford and I did go after Spence. I felt that I had a better chance fighting Spence than I did Crawford.
Yeah.
Crawford, I fought him in the amateurs, and I know he can fight as a southpaw, very tricky, running around, whereas Spence comes to fight. Spence Jr. comes to fight, so I felt that I had a little bit better chance fighting Spence than I did Crawford.
Yeah.
I always thought that Crawford would be running around, boxing on the outside, making it too difficult. So I didn't, and he was with Top Rank, so I didn't care to try to box. We were never gonna have that fight. So when that fight got made between both of them, I always thought that Crawford's skill was better. Better IQ, better ring generalship, better footwork, left-handed, right-handed, he can do it both. And I picked Crawford. But I always like to see the fighters at the weigh-in. I always like to pay attention at the weigh-in. And in that weigh-in, I saw Spence with a glazed look in his eyes and kind of like out of it. Super, super skinny, super drawn. dry mouth, dry lips. I said, "Oh, this guy's not in good shape." Now, I don't know if Spence has publicly, stated anything, but I think Spence had such a hard time making weight that he might have also been sick. He might have got sick. Like I say, it happens. Your immune system drops so much that you might get sick. So I think that he was in bad shape from cutting weight, and he never recovered. On the other hand, Crawford looked healthy, happy, confident, just with the smile and the aggressive look, and
he's got that dog in him.
and Errol Spence didn't. He just looked kind of tired, drawn, tired. You go fight night, locker room, the ring walks. Crawford is confident. He's on it. He knows even his outfit with the fish.
Yeah.
He was on top. There was nobody beating Crawford that night. Spence, you see him in the back, still kind of like with the glazed look, kind of like not paying attention. Like he didn't look healthy. Now, again, I had always picked Crawford to win, but never to win that dominant.
Oh, unbelievable.
He was dominant from the very first, round until he stopped him. He put a beating on Spence. I think, but again, I think Spence probably was not 100%. I think he most likely was either sick prior to the fight or because of the weight cut and couldn't hydrate enough, and that allowed Crawford to even look better.
Yeah,
but I always picked Crawford. I thought he was a better fighter.
As a Mexican fighter, how big of influence did Julio Cesar Chavez have on you?
Well, I'll tell you, I had I think Juan Manuel Marquez impacted my career more. I was a huge Juan Manuel Marquez fan, huge Barrera fan.
Yeah, Morales.
I grew up watching them most.
Yeah, okay. That's more your era. Yeah, I get you. I think Chavez would have been more your brother's era.
My brother Rob,
growing up, okay,
He was a generation or two before me.
You're the Barrera Morales wars and Marquez and
I still remember seeing Chavez fight. I still remember seeing him fight, but that was before my introduction to the sport where I'm really in it. Yeah. So to me, I was bigger on Marquez, Barrera, and Morales.
Yeah.
And huge fan of Marquez. He was my favorite.
Yeah.
And so I never tried to emulate or copy.
I think Barrera was more my favorite.
Barrera was terrific. I love Barrera. I love Marquez and Morales. I mean, they all had great careers. And so, I mean, I appreciate their boxing that much more because I grew up watching them. When I was amateurs, they were in the peak, early 2000s shit. You had the Morales Barrera trilogies. You had the Pacquiao Marquez, and Pacquiao Barrera. It was a mix and match between all of them, and so huge for me.
You sparred Pacquiao a lot.
Yes.
A lot of How was that? How was those spars? And I mean, I think Freddie always told him to go hard and even pay people to try and knock Manny out.
First sparring partner to ever pay me for sparring was Manny Pacquiao.
Wow.
I had sparred other professional fighters when we would go to LA boxing gym or the Maywood boxing gym. We spar other professional fighters. Even from my amateur days, when I was 15, I was sparring Edwin Valerio and Daniel Ponce.
Quickly, before we change on that, how was his power?
Insane.
Yeah?
Worst power ever felt.
Really?
Yes.
Edwin Valerio.
More than anybody else I have ever faced or felt. I've always said Edwin Valerio had scary power. And first time I sparred him, I was like 15, 16 years old, and he was already like 20-0 professional. They hit hard, and they were not in there, to play. They were there to hurt you.
Yeah.
Fortunately, I was smart to never get hurt. I never got hurt. I was being smart.
Wow.
But he hit hard, crazy hard, crazy power.
Wow.
Pacquiao, clearly remember First day, sparring Manny Pacquiao. I'm thinking we're going to spar a little bit, and kind of like feel each other out the first round maybe and whatever. Hell no. First round, first punch that he threw was a straight left. As soon as the bell started and he comes at me,
shot the power hand.
Lunges with the
wow.
Right away. Straight power left. Oh shit. Okay, we're in this, like we're on. So light goes on, let's go. So now we're boxing, boom, 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 boom. And we did, I think, maybe 4 rounds. They liked it and they said, hey, can you come Friday? Like, yeah, sure, I'll come Friday. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to spar. So we come Friday again. We do another 4 rounds. And after the sparring session, they're like, hey, we're gonna pay you. I'm like, pay me? Like, yeah, for sparring. And we want you to come back next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And I was kind of like, I never got paid before. So I told Robert, hey, Robert, my dad, hey, they're talking about paying me. I thought we were doing this shit for free, like just for the experience. They're like, no, we want to pay. We want to hire you for like the training camp.
Wow.
All right, let's do it. I get the experience and I get paid. Like,
wow.
Let's do it. So he was paying me at the time. He was fighting, I think it was the rematch with Morales.
Yeah.
It was the rematch with Morales that I helped him sparring. And he was
so is that after
$900.
Morales got the first one? So this is the second fight. And then they had a third, which was a real whitewash. But the second, okay, the rematch, yeah.
So I was there for the rematch, and I was getting paid $900 for the week, $300 a day.
Cool. Beautiful.
I'm getting the experience. I get in shape, and I get paid.
Yeah, can't get no better than that. And you're in with a champion legend. Yeah.
So I got to share the ring like that with Manny for, I think it was like maybe 4 or 5, like 5 weeks, possibly 5 weeks for his training camp. I was happy, and I learned, and he never beat me up, even though he tried a couple times to pick up the pace. I was quick, I was smart to move around, and he was a great fighter. I learned a lot, and I was.
How is he as a person?
He's a very, very, very generous. I saw that with all his people. Very generous, very humble.
Yeah.
Very, very good person.
He's coming to Australia soon, so I'm actually going to get to meet him. I think in March he's coming down. Yeah, so
awesome. I'm trying to get out there in March. I'm trying to get out there.
Yeah,
I'm trying to link up because I'm trying to get out there in March.
Yeah, and I'm actually in talks with Bud too, because to him to come out as well, because Crawford wants to see Australia too. So
okay, yeah, maybe we'll out there.
Yeah, let's have a reunion with all the champs. I'll be the contact. So what I was going to say before I'm actually putting in to host the WBC convention in 2026 in Sydney. I spoke to Mauricio in Hamburg, and I've got a fair bit of work to do, but it'll be the first time it's ever been held in Australia, and it'll be their 50. I think it'll be their 56 annual convention. Yeah, so I'm doing my best to try and bring it to. It's in Thailand this year, so I'm going to try and bring it to Australia in 2026. Sure. So before we go, Crawford Canelo, it sounds like it's happening. I know Bud told me in Hamburg he wanted it. It sounds like Your Excellency is going to try and make it happen. Tell me your thoughts on that fight.
Well, it's a very interesting fight. It's an interesting matchup. If I put this down on paper or the smart money, I'm thinking the odds are going to be Canelo winning by decision. Just based on the weight class, the size, everybody's going to, I think, feel Canelo wins by decision. However, it's hard to bet against Crawford.
It is.
Crawford has the skills, the boxing IQ, the footwork, the height.
The hunger, he wants it.
So I think it's tough. Even though I think I'm a side with Canelo, but don't be surprised if Crawford starts pulling it off, because Canelo's not the fastest. He's not the quickest to get inside.
Doesn't throw as much as his work rate's gone down a lot from what I've seen him follow Cotto. He only sort of plods along and throws if he plays. He throws them correctly and smartly, but he doesn't got the work rate as he used to. And sometimes he might get down a little bit early on, but start a bit slower and
He's a little more flat-footed, a little less active now. not as aggressive. He doesn't put like that pressure, like where you're on your opponent. He puts strategically, he's strategic about how he, makes puts his pressure on. Whereas Crawford can box, he can be faster, quicker. So don't be surprised if Crawford starts pulling off, winning a lot of the earlier rounds, and then keeps it going.
Well, Amir Khan was up early days. Amir was up early against Canelo, and Charlo went the distance, and I think Crawford's a lot better than Charlo. Look, I'm picking the upset. I'm going with Bud. I think he's gonna do a Ray Leonard against Hagler and shock the world.
I want to see what the odds are when the odds come out. Depending on how the odds are, the line is, I may be willing to put some money on Crawford too.
Yeah.
If the odds are exciting enough, if the odds are tasty enough, we're like, okay, I can make a good amount of money without risking too much.
Yeah,
it's a good chance.
Yeah,
Crawford again, it's hard to bet against Crawford because I know his skill level, his skill set, his IQ is on top.
Some of the Mexicans, I don't know what it is. I don't know. I think it's Marquez and I think Morales and a few of them guys are not really massive fans of Canelo. Or Chavez, I think, is. But what's your opinion as a Mexican fighter, Canelo? I mean, he can't. You can't really. I don't know how anyone knocks him what he's done in his career. But are you more of a Canelo? You understand? I think Marquez never sort of aren't really massive. Are you sort of more of a Canelo?
I became more supportive and more of a fan in most recent years.
Yeah.
Than when he first started.
Okay.
Now, when he first became champion back in 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, I forget. And his first few, years as a champion, defending the title, I was one of the ones that also criticized a bit, and not criticized negatively, criticized with fact. When he first won his first 154-pound title, junior middleweight title, WBC, facts are facts. The title was vacated by Mayweather at 154. Do you remember who he fought for the title?
Was Matthew Hatton?
Matthew Hatton. Matthew Hatton was supposed to fight Canelo on a non-title fight. Matthew Hatton was a welterweight.
Yeah.
But because they opened up the WBC vacant title that Mayweather had just vacated, now there's an opportunity to fight for the WBC 154-pound title. They bring Matthew Hatton to 154. But Matthew Hatton and Canelo agreed on a catch weight of 152 because Matthew Hatton was a welterweight.
Yeah.
Matthew Hatton was never a big, fighter.
Never. He wasn't that good either. I mean, no disrespect. He's not like Ricky. I mean,
was he world champion? Was he reigning champion? Was he, and so you get that kind of opponent. What happened to the top 10, top 15 ranked fighters at that moment?
Yeah.
So that's why like Marquez and maybe some other fighters, including myself at the time, will call him out on that. Did you become champion, the youngest 154-pound title? I mean, in the record book, sure.
Did he break Fernando's record?
Fernando had the record at 154.
Yuri Boy Campos.
In my books, he's still the youngest.
Yuri Boy Campos. He fought
Yuri Boy Campos,
a dangerous man
who had a record of I think like 62-1
knockouts,
like 56 knockouts. Fernando had 14 fights. Now that's impressive.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Then you got Canelo, who claims to be the one, but again, against who? It was a vacant title that you picked the opponent, brought him up in weight class, and it has a bad taste.
Yeah.
Against the guys that you were defending, I get it. You're building up, and you were still very young, so for some, it's okay. But you're gonna get the guys that were gonna call you out on it.
But there's still some of them guys. I mean, look, you've sort of obviously respect him, and now I think a few of them guys are still a bit off. I mean, right now we can't really everything he's done since then. We have to give him his dues, obviously.
After that, and after he beat some of the other guys, okay, you started, building your resume better. He did beat Cotto. He did beat, Golovkin.
Do you think he beat? I thought he won the second. The first, what do you think about the first? I don't know.
I thought Golovkin won the first.
Yeah.
It was a draw, but I thought Golovkin won the first.
I thought Canelo deserved the second.
Have Canelo winning the second and the third.
Yeah. The third I was at. Yeah, was it. Yeah.
I do remember. I do have him winning, but the first one I thought Golovkin won, but it was ruled a draw. But regardless, he did fight them, and then eventually moving up in weight class and so on and so forth. You cannot deny his accomplishments in the weight classes like middleweight, super middleweight, and even light heavyweight when he beat
Kovalev, and but he picked the wrong style in Bivol. Style was all wrong for him.
So I got to give him credit for those victories. His most recent fights, you may not be able to give him too much credit, but it's also a different stage of his career.
Is he in your top 10 Mexican all times?
He's up there, but I wouldn't.
So I said 10. I'm not saying any closer up. I mean, I've got the Chavez, Ruben Olivares. Yeah.
I don't think he makes the top 5.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't make the top 5. Not maybe the what do we call them again? We call them the casuals, but not to the people that know boxing. He's not the top 5.
Boxing, I personally would have in my top 5 or 6. I'm gonna include, not in any specific order, but I'm gonna have Chavez, Marquez, Barrera, Morales, Sanchez, Finito López.
And there was
right there. You just there. You already have, and then you got other guys that are worthy of being there as well.
Well, there was a bantamweight called Ruben Olivares, one of the greatest ever.
You know
it was cool in Hamburg before we finished. I met Carlos Arate and Carlos and Zaragoza. They were all so cool to meet, and they were great guys too.
So you got so many legends and so many, fighters, Mexican world champions that are worthy. Like Sanchez, like I said, Chavez, and in recent years, the Marquez, the Barrera, the Morales, that really earned their stripes. Whereas with Canelo, you kind of feel like they kind of helped him a bit in his career, guiding him at the right time, the right opponent at the right moment, and this and that. And
the Benavidez thing, being interim champion for 2 years, and now he's going up in weight. But I mean, he was there. He should have. The fight was the making. To say that he'll come in heavy on the night, that doesn't matter. If you make weight, it doesn't matter what you come in at. I don't believe in catch weight. I don't believe in clauses and all that crap. I don't believe in that shit.
I never did that either. But I was fighting Spence at welterweight or Jessie Vargas or anybody, and I never put catch weight or
hydration clause. Oh, it's shit. It's rubbish.
I felt that if I feel confident in fighting at welterweight, then I'm fighting them at their weight class.
Well, I just go back to the old days. If they weren't doing it back in the old days, don't do it now.
I came in at those fights, my 3 fights at welterweight, the Jessie and the Spence fight. I came in weighing in at 43 or 44. They came in at 47, 46, 47, and there was no hydration clause. I didn't put no hydration clause on them.
No.
I didn't put any hydration clause on them. I came in, I weighed in at 43, 44. They came in at 46, 47, whatever they weighed. And then on fight night, I'm fighting them at their full-on hydrated weight. I didn't put no hydration clause. I feel like that for me, it's going to sound bad, but that's kind of like a bitch to put.
Me too. The same as Tank Davis with Garcia and what's Tank's Tank.
Come down. Meet me at 142. Meet me at 143.
Yeah, I don't like it.
You can only gain 8 pounds. And man, then
I don't believe in it. Mate, Roberto Adrien used to put on, I don't know how many pounds after a weigh-in. I mean, look back in the day, and I mean, it shouldn't be like what Tank Davis is doing now, trying to, make people wait like Ryan Garcia. Look at the difference between Ryan Garcia versus Tank and versus Haney in his face. But
yep. Yeah, see, I've always been in a way against it, so I never did it in my career. I never asked for it. I never did it. The fight with Sandor Martin, my last fight, I didn't care for that fight. I did it, whatever. And he was, well, technically he was fighting at 140. I wanted to fight at 147 because I was already fighting at 47.
That's right.
I wanted to stay at 47, even though I was never going to weigh in at 47. But I wanted it to be scheduled at 47. And Sandor Martin, he asked to be at, I think, 44 or 43. Yeah. I forget. So I said, that's the same weight class I walk in anyways. I'm never walking in at 47.
No.
So I walked in at 43 on the weigh-in. And after that, we weighed in however much you hydrate. It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter to me. I'm never going to put a hydration clause because, again, that doesn't feel right to me. No. If I don't feel confident fighting them at their natural weight, then don't go up in weight class. Stay in the weight class below.
Exactly right.
Oh, that's how I felt.
Nah, 100%, Mikey. Well, listen, I want to thank you so much for your time. It's been so good talking to you. We could probably go for a little bit longer, but mate, you're an absolute legend, one of the nicest guys, and you and your brother Robert I've ever met in boxing.
Thank you.
Absolute pleasure. Let's keep in touch. Definitely love you to come to Australia this year, and if when I get back over to the States, I'd love to catch up with you and come to Oxnard for the first time.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You're always welcome, and keep in touch, and I look forward to seeing you out there very soon.
Much appreciated, Mikey. Take care. See you, champ. Bye, mate. Bye.